Thanks to Square Enix, I was able to play Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD-2D Remake in advance to be able to share my thoughts today. And everything you're going to see if you're watching on YouTube has been captured on the Xbox Series X. So let me start out. So these are two games, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Dragon Quest 3 came out a little bit less than a year ago. That is the first chronologically in the series. So they put that one out first, and then Dragon Quest 1 and 2 are the next two. These three games together are called something, the Erdrick Trilogy is what the three of these together are called. They've done a lot of updates from the original games. The original games were called Dragon Warrior back on the NES. And I don't know about you, Lord, but these games are very close to my heart. I remember playing them when I was a little peanut. They're even older than like Final Fantasy, the very first Final Fantasy game. This is based on a game that's even older than that. And yeah, so these two games come in a package together. And the first one is okay. I'll put it that way. You're only playing by yourself. You don't have any party members. It's just your character running around this very, very pretty world. But it does feel very lonely, in my opinion. You have interaction with NPCs, but you don't have anyone kind of helping you out in your journey. And because of just the way JRPGs have evolved over the years, you're kind of, you're having a party to help you out, to heal you when you're in trouble. And it kind of makes Dragon Quest 1 actually a very difficult game. I was dying quite often. You do have a pick of 3 difficulties, and I was playing the middle difficulty. And even with that, I was dying quite a bit. So that was hard. The game's a little bit slower. It is based on, a game that's like 30 plus years old. So they did a lot of updates to it to make things better. But yeah, it's not my favorite of the two. However, you get to 2, and 2 is really, really incredible. I had so much fun with it. They have great characters. You have a party of 4 different people. One who's a brand new addition, wasn't included in the very first one. They have great personalities. They have their own powers and skills. And I really, really loved 2. I had a lot of fun with it. They're both absolutely gorgeous. That HD-2D remake is just so good. The colors are vibrant and beautiful. There's a couple spots where you're in like a dungeon, and or even at night you can be outside in the real world, and you have a lantern, and the light is absolutely fantastic. Does a lot of reflection off the walls and stuff as you're walking around. So good. If you are a JRPG fan, I think these two games are an absolute must buy. Like, I really think that if this is your jam, you will not be disappointed with these two games. So I had a lot of fun with it. First game's much shorter than the second one, probably about, I think I took maybe 15 or 20 hours, somewhere in between that, to finish it. And the second one's longer, about 30 hours or so to finish that one, a little bit more probably. And there is a lot of stuff in a lot of their end game quests, a lot of new quests to do. There's a whole underwater section in the second game that wasn't part of the original. I just had a lot of fun with these games, and I highly recommend it.
Wow, that sounds awesome. That's really exciting to hear. Can you tell me about some of the improvements or quality of life fixes they have, and also how is combat?
Absolutely. So combat is, if you are a JRPG fan, combat is JRPG. Like, some of the monsters are vulnerable to certain types of spells, and there'll be a red indicator on their hit points when you hit them if they are. That is super fun. It involves a lot of strategy there to make sure you're using the right powers. I don't have a good memory of what the powers and stuff were from the original one, so I can't really gauge how different those are from the original and what they added and what they didn't. But I remember the very first game, it was you versus one enemy, And now you have multiple enemies of which that you'd be able to fight in the first one versus just you versus like a slime, or you versus like a bunnicorn, I think is this like bunny with a unicorn horn. So that was one of the changes they made. Yes, quality of life improvements. They added this thing, which I don't even think was in the third game last year. There was this quick menu option that allows you to just hold your right button on the Xbox to bring up a mapped 4 powers that you can just whip up your zoom. There's a power called nose for treasure, and that allows you to, it tells you how many treasures are in the level that you are at the time, because one of the big things about this game is you're finding treasures in like buckets and in cabinets and stuff. So you know that old trope, RPG trope, where you go into someone's house and just loot the hell out of it, that is still here. But now you have a power in the second one that tells you how many of those treasures are in that level, so you can pick, or so you know, like, oh, I have all of them, thankfully, like I've got all of them, or there's one left, and there's a little indicator in their menu that shows you how many treasures that you have left. A couple tips and tricks for everyone who plays this: increase your battle speed immediately. The battle speed is set to slow when you first play the game as default. Put that thing up to ultra fast as soon as you can, or else it is gonna drag. Even at ultra fast, once you finish a battle, there's still a few seconds of telling you how many XP how many gold you got. All that's still there, but now it goes much faster with the battle speed. Use your items. A lot of people complain about these games sometimes that there are too many encounters. Well, they give you items to limit those encounters for a period of time. And in the second one, there's a magic spell that you can use that will limit those encounters. So use those. That'll help you out a lot. And there is no shame in running away. You can run away. There's a chance that the enemies will hit you a couple times before you do, but no shame in that, because this game saves after every single encounter. So if you're trying to get through a hard area just to get to the next town, no shame in running away. It'll save it for you. So if you get into trouble, you'll just go right back to that last encounter, which is a huge plus, at least for me when I'm trying to get to that next town.
Well, there's some good pointers there, Maulding. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking about the first, like, honestly, when I think about the first one, and just going solo, I'm like very intrigued by that, because you're right, you don't get that anymore. Like, I almost kind of like it, because sometimes I'm like, man, you have the companions, you're doing so much chatting, yada yada, but I can't even imagine it's like hard to even imagine a solo experience, because that's just so totally different from any current JRPG right now. So that could be a fun little experience to go and revisit, because I'm trying to remember I can't even remember, like I'm racking my brain to try and recall if I've played maybe an emulator at some point. Considering getting it, would this be a game that maybe would be good handheld? Like maybe if I get it on the Steam Deck,
I'm not a handheld person, but I think this is a perfect game for a handheld thing.
Sweet.
Absolutely. Anything that's in these JRPGs, I think, are the perfect type of game, because you don't have to have quick reflexes. You're just, it's a lot of strategy, hitting the right power at the right time. But yes, I would absolutely say if you're a handheld person, this is a great game for it.
Speaking my language.
Yeah, that's what I thought. As far as ratings go, I'm going to give it a rating here. So since it's a combination of 2 different games, I'm going to give the first game, through really no fault of its own, because it is based on this 30-year-old game, I'm going to give that Dragon Quest 1 a 7, and I'll give Dragon Quest 2 a 9. So put them all together, I think it's a good average. I think this is a solid 8 game that I'm really happy that I got a chance to play. And it's also gorgeous. If you're loving that HD-2D kind of look to it, it's really pretty. Waterfalls and fountains and all great sound effects. The music, Dragon Quest has very, very iconic music, just like Final Fantasy does, and that is all here in this game. So yeah, I do recommend.
I feel like every HD 2D remake that has been coming out, they've somehow like figured out new tricks to make it look even better. Do you say this is just like the peak of it right now? Like this
Yeah,
is
as far as
the-
right now, this is the best look. These are the best looking ones that
Heck
I've
yeah.
seen. I love Octopath Traveler. I think
Yeah.
they're prettier than Octopath Traveler. Octopath Traveler, gosh, I would maybe not muted colors, but I feel like the colors are a little bit darker. This one is extremely vibrant, like the blues, greens. When you're on the ocean and when you finally get to go below sea level, it is the blues and all that is it's really gorgeous.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. So thanks again to Square Enix for letting me get my hands on it, and I had a blast.